Hi guys and welcome back. I'm going to talk to you today about why we stop using the good and the beautiful. There's a lot of controversy around this curriculum sometimes, usually based on the religious aspect of it, but that's not what I'm going to talk about today. If that's something that interests you, I think there are probably plenty of other videos that you can go watch, but I think this video can probably apply to a lot of curriculums and a lot of different things that you might buy. But I think in particular it applies to the good and the beautiful because so many people just want to love it and sometimes it just doesn't work and it's not right and you need to stop using it. You just need to stop. I'll tell you a bit about our story with the good and the beautiful. Originally, I've got 4 kids. The first 3 are already homeschool age and my youngest is 4. He just turned 4 the other week. But I have used the good and the beautiful almost since it started. I'm not sure how long ago that was, but my oldest started using it when he was 6. Before I used the good and the beautiful, I taught him how to read using All About Reading, which I really enjoyed and I have no problems with that, but it just wasn't quite right for him. And so we used the good and the beautiful. After that, he did level 1 All About Reading, and then I got him the level K good and the beautiful, and he went through that in 6 weeks. So obviously the All About Reading gave him a good foundation, but then I wanted him to be super prepared to be able to go into the next level, so I had him do the level K just to, why not? And then my second child came through. She's a girl, my daughter Lily, and she did the good and the beautiful all the way through and she's never had a problem with it. But then I got to my third child and he has a language delay and it is quite significant, I think, but apparently not significant enough that he qualifies for any kind of speech therapy, which I find incredibly frustrating. But his language delay has delayed his ability to learn how to read. It's been very difficult and it's been a long process. And I thought, just like my older 2, that the good and the beautiful would be perfect for him. It's so gentle and it's very basic, right to the point. But we persevered with it for an entire year, and by the end of the year, this was last year 2020, he was still not reading. He could say all his sounds, he knew all the letters, but he just could not get the reading thing down, and so I had to try and find something else for him to use, and that's why we stopped using the good and the beautiful, because it just wasn't working. I tried to use All About Reading because I'd used that in the past and I still had all the books, because, you know, you don't throw out curriculum, you don't throw out books, so I still had them. And I tried that and it still was not working, so I had to find something else. In the end, what worked for him was an app called Reading Eggs. And I don't like kids being on screens all that much. It's something that I struggle with letting my kids do a lot, but that was how he learned and I had to just get over myself, I guess, and let him learn the way that he learns. I found that Reading Eggs was really good for him because it was very interactive and it was so repetitive to the point that it would like hurt my brain if I had to do that over and over again. But that's what worked for him. He needed repetition over and over, and he needed a lot of interaction of him actually using his hands and using his just different ways to, like, different games and different approaches. It had so many different approaches to learning the same content that one way was obviously going to just stick. And within maybe, how long has he been doing it? 3-4 months probably, he has gone all the way up to grade level, which I think is amazing because I had been banging my head on the wall trying to make the good and the beautiful work because I love it so much and it just was not working. So I think that is probably the best thing that you can do. If you have a child and you want it to work, if you want the good and the beautiful to work and it's just not working, it is not worth it. So one of the reasons that I think the good and the beautiful did not work for him was that it moved too fast. There are 120 lessons, I believe, in the kindergarten level, and you do 1 lesson a day. And the first few lessons, they were fine. He could absolutely do the first maybe 10, 15, 20 lessons. But then it started just going too fast, and if you had not mastered the first lessons like perfectly, you were just gonna get lost. You just could not he couldn't understand it. He would try sounding it out and it was just ruining his love of learning. Another reason that I think the good and the beautiful didn't work was because it didn't have enough interactive output for him. He likes to be hands-on. He likes to be able to like visually see and interact with the content that's being taught. And in Reading Eggs, there are colourful pictures, and there's videos, and there's so many little different activities to go along with each lesson that The Good and the Beautiful didn't have. The Good and the Beautiful is very basic, which works well for most children. It cuts out a lot of the fluff, but he needed the fluff, if you know what I mean. For Ammon, I found that The Good and the Beautiful was a lot more parent intensive than I would have liked. I mean, obviously, if you're teaching your child to read, it takes a lot of time and you need to put in a lot of effort as a parent. But this was taking so much more effort on my part, and it was becoming very frustrating for me, and it was very frustrating for him. I know pretty much everybody who has taught a child how to read, and it can be incredibly frustrating, and it's very difficult. And if you can't control that frustration, your child feels that frustration that you are feeling, and it hurts their ability to learn as well. And I didn't want that to happen. I wanted him to still love learning, and I wanted him to be engaged and excited to learn to read. And with The Good and the Beautiful, that just wasn't happening because it just was not right for him. With Reading Eggs, it's a lot less parent intensive. He does the work. I sit next to him while he does it, and I help him out, and I listen to him reading and things. But on the whole, it's a lot more independent, and that's what he thrives with. He thrives with independence and figuring things out for himself. He can do the same activity and get it wrong over and over, but eventually he gets it right, and it just sticks in his mind a lot better. Rather than me trying to teach the lesson over and over again, he can do a lesson in Reading Eggs over and over again, and it is still fun. Whereas me trying to drum into him, what sound does this make, and this is how you blend the word, it's just not as fun, and it just ruins the joy in the learning process. When I was using The Good and the Beautiful for him, I found that I was having to supplement a lot. I would do the lesson as it was prescribed in the course book, but then I would have to go and research more activities for him to supplement. I would have to make more flashcards, and I would have to come up with more games, and I'd look for more apps and look for so many more things to help cement the knowledge that I was teaching in this one lesson. Whereas with my older two children, I can do the lesson with them and they've got it just like that. But with him, it just wasn't clicking, and so I was having to put in so much more effort and so much more work that it was becoming burdensome for me. I mean, I've got other kids that need my time and my energy. I couldn't put all that time and effort into that one child, which I know probably sounds a little bad, but as a parent, you can only do so much, so you need to find ways to make your life easier, and if it's not working, you need to find something else so that you don't burn out, because homeschool burnout is totally a thing. And I didn't want my other children to suffer because I was having to spend hours and hours a day with this one child, having to teach him the same thing over and over, and it still just wasn't clicking. So now I'm going to tell you why we are going back to The Good and the Beautiful for him. I know it sounds a little contradictory because I've just said how bad it worked for him, and now I'm going to tell you why we're going back. It's because I know that it is a good curriculum. It is a solid foundation for good grammar, good literacy, good writing, good reading, good everything. But I didn't find that it was very good for him to learn how to read. I think that's where it failed him, but I think that he can excel and soar in the other aspects of it once I add that back in. So now that he is reading fluently, I feel that he can now move on, and we will probably start level 1 with him in the next month or so. So now Reading Eggs, the curriculum that he's doing at the moment, will become the supplementary thing. He can do that on his own. I will help him and listen to him reading the stories on it, but The Good and the Beautiful will become more of his main curriculum. I also want all my children streamlined and all using the same curriculum. I think that is just easier, and it's a lot less burdensome on me having to find different curriculums for everybody to suit everybody's needs, which I guess is part of the whole homeschool thing. One of the benefits is that you can pick and choose which curriculum that you want for each child, but it is a lot easier if everybody is just doing the same thing and you can just buy the next level up. I think he will do absolutely fine now that he can read. One of the other reasons that I want him back in The Good and the Beautiful is because it teaches good writing skills, and I think that is very important for children to develop really good writing skills. Reading Eggs doesn't really develop that so much, and because it's on an app and like on the iPad, there's no like hand writing sort of thing. It's a lot of typing, which I suppose is good as well, but I want him to be able to write with a pencil and a pen and to get that sort of skill down pat. that is my reason why we stopped using the good and the beautiful and why we are going back. I think the main takeaway from this is that even if you absolutely love a curriculum, and even if a curriculum is very, very good, that doesn't mean that it is the right curriculum, and it's okay to stop. I know I wanted so badly for the good and the beautiful to work for him. I wanted it so badly because it just made my life easier, and it has done such wonderful things for my older 2 children. But sometimes I think you need to realize when to stop. That goes for any curriculum. If it is not working, if it is causing more stress, and if it is causing your children to not flourish, then it's time to step back, take a break, and reassess like where you are, and look for something that might work for them differently, because all children learn differently. Some kids have different skills in different areas, but the main thing that you want to do is not to kill their love of learning and their love of reading by trying to force something that is just not working. So if you have problems, just choose a different curriculum. It's okay not to love it. You can always go back to it. It might be like us, like you might want to go back to it later on and it will work fine. I hope that helped you. I know a lot of people are starting homeschooling this year, and a lot of people are using the good and the beautiful for the first time, and a lot of people really, really, really want to love it, but it's okay if you don't love it, and it's okay that if it doesn't work for your child, you can put it to the side and maybe you can use it later, or maybe there is something better for your child. The main thing is to just do what works for your family and for your child, and it's okay not to love a curriculum that everybody else absolutely loves.